He's Black Guy Fawkes, and I'm really hoping you spell that correctly when you look him up, or things could get awkward. And together, we are Fawkes and Friends. This is a short introduction episode, which means that functionally speaking, you're the guest today, Ian.
Ooh.
So, Ian, this is a new thing for you, huh?
It is. I've never really dabbled in podcasts before, so I'm usually the guest. Now I'm the co-host, and this is real weird, but I'm here.
I'm excited for this project. Before we get into the meat of this introductory episode, let's hear one of your songs. You picked The Great Sisyphus. What makes this song special for you?
I feel like this is the song where I really kind of dive deep into how I'm actually feeling. Not to say that most songs aren't about how I'm feeling, because they all come from a place deep down inside of me. But I feel like that was the more personal one, and that was a song where I feel like resonated with a lot more people than before. So it's a close one to me. I feel like everybody has wrestled with the feelings of imposter syndrome and not really knowing if what they're doing is good enough or if they're going to fail in front of everybody. So
Awesome, man. Folks, you're going to be able to hear the full The Great Sisyphus off the album Intrusive Lullabies. If you are listening on Spotify Premium, you will get the full experience. If not, a little music and then right back into the conversation. So, Ian, you've been at this music thing for a while, at least 5 years by my reckoning, as Trying Times came out in 2018. What got you started down this path?
I've always really been into punk music ever since I was younger. And I was always big into when I was like in high school and middle school. I That's when I discovered Green Day, My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, like all those early Warped Tour pop punk emo bands. They've always been like a really big part of me. And then I tried playing bands in high school. I tried to play bands in college, and I really couldn't find anybody who one agreed with what I wanted to do, but also just didn't have that work ethic, if you will. And I kind of fell out of love with music. Then that's when I discovered Frank Turner, who really kind of showed me that I can still be acoustic and solo, but also still hold people's attention too. So that was a big aspect of it. And then I started Black Guy Fawkes, I guess. While Trying Times that came out in 2018, I started a project like a few years earlier, worked on another record. Then again, it was just one of those things where I fell out of love with what I was writing at the time and found something else that gravitated towards me.
Now, speaking of Frank Turner, how did you discover him?
With Frank Turner, back in 2012, I was in college at the time and we were on our way to go see the Vagina Monologues in Frostburg, Maryland. And the person that driving the bus that had all the college kids in, Kate Goff and her and her partner Jeremy Kaler, they put on one of his songs. I think it was "If Ever I Stray." I'm like, what the fuck is this? Why is this dude yelling? I feel attacked right now. What's going on? And then somebody said, that's Frank Turner. I'm like, who the fuck is Frank Turner? Then maybe like a month or two later, Jeremy gave me his copy of Love Iron song. And I just fell in love with that. And because it was just so brutally honest. And that came at a point in time when I was kind of falling out of love with music. If I wanted even to continue playing music. So when I discovered that, it really kind of showed up again. Everything was just so brutally honest, and it really just kept my attention. Then a few months later, down the line, Kate and Jeremy they invited me to go see Frank play in Baltimore, and my first time seeing him, I was just so captivated. And at that moment after the show, I said to myself, "That's what I want to do. I want to do something like that." And I found a whole new love for different kinds of music. That's I discovered Against Me, Gaslight Anthem, Back Up, like a whole world of music that I did not know about. I discovered just through that show and through that record.
Aside from Frank, who are some of your other big musical inspirations? Not necessarily even just in punk music, but just in general.
So in general, so I guess going back to those early odds, of course, I said Fall Out Boy, Green Day, My Chemical Romance. I'm a big Paramore fan, and I truly I love lyricism more than anything, and I enjoy concept records and stories of just hearing these different things kind of captured within it. Because I just thought a song was just a song, and nothing else came from that. But I discovered more than that. I discovered that records can hold giant themes and just hold like these very cohesive stories that go along with it. So when I was younger, my mom introduced me to like the Beatles and stuff. But when I got older, I discovered more Beatles records. So I discovered Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and I again I enjoyed that. Same reason why I enjoyed the Black Parade or anything that NCR put out, because it was this thing of that was basically all the Beatles saying we're tired of being the Beatles, let's be somebody different for a change. I just like stuff like that. So I grew up loving a lot of Beatles, a lot of Queen. Hip hop wise, I love Tribe Called Quest. I love Tribe Called Quest. I love Kendrick Lamar. I love Frank Ocean. He's another really important artist to me, because again, going back with Frank with that vulnerability, I saw Love Iron song. When I listened to Frank Ocean's Channel Orange, it was that same thing, and on like a very different social level, because it was them coming out as gay towards a whole community of people that you didn't know if they're going to accept him or not, but he didn't care. He just showed his true self. So a record like that has always been really important to me. Randomly, I love show tunes. I love me my Hamilton. I love me my we we've experienced this together, but I love my cats.
You certainly do. Thank you for serenading me in the car to the entire soundtrack to that musical. When you're talking about Frank Ocean, you brought up vulnerability, and that's something I kind of want to dig into because as an artist, you show a lot of vulnerability in your music. Intrusive Lullabies is functionally speaking, you working through some mental health issues, right?
Without getting into detail, that was a really dark period in my life. And that was the point in time when I decided now's the time for me to actually get help and get on medication and to actually start getting back into therapy. But as soon as I got all that lined up, the last step of doing that was writing something. And again, this isn't me saying that every record wasn't me be my honest self, but in True Lullabies, that was a record when I was more vulnerable than anything. And I wanted to show their music on how just kind of how my mind works and what really goes on inside of it. Because
Is
every song I feel like I wrote before it with me telling myself that I can be better, I can do better, and I want to be better. But then writing intrusive, that was me being more honest with myself about where I actually was and stuff, how I need to fix myself. Not really looking at ways to solve it, but just looking at what like the actual grounding and actual reality of where I'm at mentally.
is being honest and vulnerable like that in such a public sphere, is that kind of scary?
It is the most terrifying thing of all time. Like as an artist, I still get that like crippling self doubt when I put out a record and where I put out a song or anything like that. I'm like, this is the worst thing I've ever written before. Nobody's gonna like this. This was scary just because I wrote this record for myself. Intrusive wasn't supposed to be a record at all. I just started writing these songs back in December of 2022. And then lyrics just started pouring out of me. That's when I brought it to my producer and my close friend Derek Shank and said, "Listen, I have these songs. Let's just get this to you. Let's see what we can do with them." So more so, it was scary writing this for the most part, just because it's me. Is these lyrics are coming out of me? I don't know what, and it's hard to process like where these are coming from. But it wasn't more so scary just putting it out there, knowing that you're being this vulnerable about where you are mentally, and just wondering how people are going to look at you. And I was self conscious about it for a bit. By then, I stopped because I realized that more so than anything else, it wasn't written for anybody in particular. I wrote these songs for me. And when it got closer to the date, to the actual release date, which was 420 of last year, I just say, you know what? I wrote this for me. I'm happy with how these turned out. I'm proud of how far of how these songs sound, and I love them. So that's all that matters. Anybody else who listen to it, they'll either like it or they won't. But it's for me and me only.
Well, I like it, and I mean, I may be biased because I like you as a people, but it's a hell of an EP. You released it on your own at first, but then it got picked up by Asbestos Records. How did that happen?
The owner of Let's Pass the Map Flood, we just started talking a little bit on on Twitter at first, and he was just saying, "Hey, looking forward to hearing it. I can't wait to see what comes out of it." And it was one of the things where I was always submitting it to different labels at one point, but I never heard anything back. Then when he reached out, I said, I wanted to send it out to you, but especially it's primarily they primarily handle just all ska records. I realized I said to myself, that's I don't know. I don't feel like I'm not part of that genre, so I didn't really want to submit it. Then Flood told me, "Well, let me hear it. Let me just hear how it sounds." Then he heard of them, like I guess like a day or two after that. That's when we started talking about actually putting out on vinyl. And ever since then, we just working together and coming up with different ways to promote it, and just coming up with different avenues to bring to people and trying to get on as many shows as possible.
Yeah, I'm happy it's on vinyl because it warms my little hipster heart. Let's talk about the covers for a minute on the vinyl version because they're exclusive to that format. Side B's all covers. You did We're Going to Be Friends by the White Stripes, Raining in Baltimore by the Counting Crows, Journey of the Magi by Frank Turner, and the 59 Sound by the Gaslight Anthem. Why those four songs in particular?
So I did. We're going to be friends because that's always just been like a fun solo song for me. I love that song from the White Stripes. I think Jack White's is just a genius, but I feel like that song holds so much weight because it's about growing up and that childhood adolescence. And I just feel like if for the record being called Choose Lullabies, I always feel like that's a fun lullaby to sing. Raining in Baltimore shows also was because that's the first song I love Counting Crows. I got it. I really got into August and everything after. I feel like that record's just fucking incredible. That and Hard Candy. But my first time seeing Frank play and in Baltimore, he played that song in Baltimore, I guess for us, and it was just such a big moment for me.
Is that the show where it was actually raining in Baltimore when he did it?
It wasn't no,
Oh,
it was not that show. I remember that day like vividly. It was just so much fun. I remember right after the shows where we all just went to Subway, me and my friends from college, and just hung out there and then hung out in the hotel room for a little bit. It was way too much fun. When I heard him, they're like, what, that song's fucking killing. And because it was my first line on him being my first show, I wanted to do that one. Then Journey of the Magi I chose from Frank. That is probably one of my favorite songs from him. Because it kind of taught me I've always had these plans musically of how I wanted everything to be. And it's sometimes it did blow up in my face. But that chorus of the song when it says the journey's brought joy to outweigh the pain, it taught me just to be part of the journey and just be happy that these things are happening and just move forward. Don't worry about what if, just live sort of living in the now because you never know what's going to happen. And the 59 sound, that was an experiment because I wanted to I used to play cover gigs when I was first starting out like 3 hour gigs, whether it's just so I can make rent money or just so I can eat and everything too. But with that, I wanted that version of 59 sound to be my own rendition of it. How could I make it my own, basically? And with that song in particular, I felt like it was the lyrics for that are haunting enough. That whole record that Gaslight wrote is one of the best albums of all time, and I'll die on that hill. But and when I listen to the lyrics of it, it is very heartbreaking because it does speak about death. It does speak about knowing if you made an impact on this world. And alongside just wanting to hear your favorite song one last time. So I figure that that'd be a great way to kind of close out the covers of those B-sides.
and as a reminder, folks, those songs are exclusive to the vinyl edition of Intrusive Lullabies, put out by Asbestos Records. You can buy it at asbestosrecords.com and at blackguyfawkes.com. And speaking more of Black Guy Fawkes in this sense, in this podcast sense, let's talk about the show for a little bit. First off, Ian, why the title?
It's called Fawkes and Friends just because of the fact that I have a festival that I put on around my birthday each year for the last 6 years now. Stay tuned on that information. Called Fawkes and Friends. Created by the was created by my friend Charlie McCord because at one point it was 2018 when we did the first Fawkes and Friends. It wasn't supposed to happen that, but I realized I scheduled like birthday shows around my birthday, and I just wanted to just bring a few friends to come play with me. And then my friend Charlie said, "Dude, call it Fawkes and Friends. It's fucking funny. It's such a good fun." I realized, damn it, Charlie, it is. So since then, it was called Fawkes and Friends. Ever since that, is one I Fawkes and Friends. The idea of that festival was always just to bring all my friends together in one area, and just so we can all play music. And for this podcast, I just wanted all my friends to just come on, of course, one by one. So we all just kind of sit down and talk about music. You just talk about what makes us who we are.
I'm looking forward to being a part of this. I certainly want to meet all your friends and bring some of mine on as well. Aside from them just being your friends, I mean, like, who do you want to talk to in the abstract? Not specific people, but what kinds of people and what kind of topics do you want to cover?
I want to talk about this for people from all walks of life. I want to hear about the music that they're into. I want to hear about what what drives them. I want to hear about how they write songs. I want to talk about just random stuff. I want to know everything about them. At the end of the day, it's just friends just shooting the shit and just trying to figure out how they can make the world better and just like share these ideas and just open a dialogue.
Yeah, I love that, man. And I love that I get to be a part of it. And let's face it, everyone likes their ego stroked a bit. So let me ask you this. Why me? I feel like I'm kind of stealing punk rock valor here.
Mainly because you know how to run a podcast. I'm, I'm kidding. And you've been when I first met you, offer me Trey Turner tickets for a T-shirt. I realized, you know what, this dude's good. He's all right. Then when he immediately come out with last year's Fox and Friends in 2023, I say, you know what, this all right, dude. And we become pretty close in the last few months or so. From Marjo of me playing with Jared Knappik and Drake Talbot, then to Fox and Friends, then to running into you at the set Frank Turner show because you got tickets anyway.
Sounds like a thing I would do. And then we got to pal around a lot at Lost Evenings.
Exactly. I got to cook Korean barbecue for you. That was a lot of fun.
We put you to work.
So it was an obvious choice. I felt like we could have made something really fun out of this, and I think that we are. I think it's going to be a lot of fun in creating this podcast, bringing on just random people and talking, not random, but friends of mine or acquaintances of mine, just having fun with along the way.
And speaking of having fun, games are fun, aren't they? Can you tell me the game that you want to bring to just about every episode?
There's a game that we love playing called Mount Rushmore, where you just named a Mount Rushmore of different acts or just different genres or just different things of people's favorite things in life. So Mount Rushmore of folk punk acts, and Mount Rushmore of black musicians, around Mount Rushmore of pop punk or hip hop.
And what is that segment called?
Surprise, motherfucker!
So, Ian, you didn't think you'd get away with your introductory episode not having to play your own game, right?
No,
No, of
damn it.
course not. I need your Mount Rushmore of cats from the musical Cats.
Woo! Oh my, that's like picking my children. Like it's I don't have any children that I'm aware of, but whew. So I'm going to go Gus the other cat, but not just any version of Gus. Ian McKellen's version of Gus, because that is,
That motherfucker method acting playing a cat.
if you have never seen Cats before, I highly implore you, watch that movie, watch Ian McKellen, and just have fun with it. So there's Ian McKellen, and then I would put the magical Mr. Mistopheles on there, and then ooh, old Deuteronomy, a big fat cat whose wife's like Buddha and knows some stuff and speaks in riddles. Say less. And who's this last spot going? Oh, easily Rum Tum Tugger, the curious cat, yeah, the coolest cat of all time, played by Jason Derulo, because reasons. Don't ask me. That's just their choice.
I'm throwing some more Mount Rushmores at you, man. Mount Rushmore of gas station fast food.
The brisket sandwich at Bucky's, Jesus, ever loving Christ, is so delicious. Pickle chips from Sheets with boom boom sauce. We gotta get with that boom boom sauce. I'm telling you. Actually, no, I'll no pickle chips. I'll put it with Wisconsin cheese bites with boom boom sauce from Sheets. Nothing else will beat that. And just because it is cheap and delicious on the right occasions, 7-Eleven mini tacos
Hell yeah.
are fantastic. Or I'll also go taquitos from them, but you had to grab them with your full hand, then very like
Oh, no,
somebody.
I'm never
And
living that shit down. The Mount Rushmore of artists you want to perform with.
woo! All right, so I'm going to say Green Day. If I got to perform with Green Day, I would change my life. Laura Jane Grace is also somebody who I would love to perform with. The Mountain Goats were forever one of my favorites. And unless he comes out with a different project under his name, then I want to play with this person. But I, so I have three loves in my life: Frank Turner, Frank Ocean, and Frank Iero from My Chemical Romance, because he always has his solo projects, or he's doing now stuff with Ellis Dooms. So the way Frank Turner may want to be a songwriter, Frank Iero made me want to play rhythm guitar, because when I saw him on stage with MCR, like in live videos and stuff, he's just fucking all over the place. And he's just having the time of his life. And I just want, when I play, I want to bring that sort of energy to it, basically. So and the way he's involved with pretty much everybody, I've always admired him, and just always wanted just to play with him. If you saw like the Future Violence or Celebration or Velas tunes, I just want to play with Frank Iero so bad.
That's a really good Mount Rushmore. Another question that we will tend to ask people is, if you have one, if you believe in guilty pleasures, what's your musical guilty pleasure?
I have a few.
Well, if you have a few, let's make it a Mount Rushmore.
I'll name you my Rushmore of songs that I feel like I love. I say I feel like I love because of the fact that I don't know if I love these songs or love making fun of these songs.
Okay.
It's very confusing for me. S Club 7, S Club Party, Bewitched, C'est La Vie, LFO, Summertime Girls,
Okay.
and I don't know if it's a guilty pleasure or if it's just or if it's just that much of a fucking banger. But Sister Christian by Night Ranger
Fuck yeah.
is always in my head.
We're doing that at karaoke, man.
All right, bet. And there's honorable mention just because I love the song so much. I don't know what it is, but it's just so fucking it's so powerful. I feel like, and just the build up for it is just fantastic. And also, it's my favorite show of all time, Freaks and Geeks. I love "Come Sail Away" by Styx. Again, another fucking banger. Like I think about Freaks and Geeks because I don't. It was the first episode where the brother in the show was on his way to dance with a girl to slow dance to that song, and then by the time that the full band kicks in, he misses chance, and they all just started like random list like dancing regularly. Like, yes, I feel that moment, but also this song's a fucking banger, always.
Since I'm never really going to play this game myself, I'm going to give you a chance to ask me one Mount Rushmore before we end this episode.
Ooh, Mount Rushmore of my songs. Go.
Mount Rushmore of your songs. Okay. I am going to purposely discount one since we are using one for this for the theme song. So I'm going to not count that one. And going from there, Whatever Happened to Jim Crow is number one.
Okay.
Number two is Madman with a Box. Number three is Protest Boys and Riot Girls. And number four, this is the hard part because now I have to like choose one with everything else remaining. Also, this is the most egotistical Mount Rushmore you could have asked me, and I fucking love that for you. Number four is honestly, it's probably the one that we played. It's the Great Sisyphus.
All right, I can get behind it. Mount Rushmore guilty pleasures.
All right. So again, I do not believe in guilty pleasures. I believe that pleasure is guilt-free, providing it is, safe, consensual, and all of that. But I have a deep, abiding love for disco. I fucking love late 80s, early 90s house music. I am obsessed with musicals from the 30s to the 50s because I'm old. And then the last one, I'm going to say, so tempted to say Black Guy Fawkes, but that would have just been mean. My fourth Mount Rushmore of guilty pleasures is absolutely fucking that 90s swing revival. God damn it. Maybe that one is actually guilty. I don't know, but I love Big Bad Voodoo Daddy to an uncomfortable extent.
Dude, that nice revival. I don't know why that was the thing.
In any case, thank you for letting me feel involved in playing the game for once. This is going to be what Fawkes and Friends is all about. people palling around, having a couple laughs, talking a little bit about social justice and a lot about punk rock music.
It's gonna be fun, guys.